Hey guys, welcome back to the PPL EU Week 4 Part 2. Actually about to start right now. So if you are not watching on Part 2, if you are, no worries. But if you aren't, make sure to check at the top of your page. It is pinned there. That post at the top of your Facebook chat is pinned. Click that, and therefore you will be able to continue watching the end of this broadcast with NIP versus Mousesports. If you don't, this is going to shut off in about 10 minutes, so make sure you click it if you want to keep watching, and we'll remind you again when we hit to the casters. But heading into today, it is obviously now the final set, NIP versus Mousesports. Really kind of disappointing day for NIP to start out where they couldn't get that crucial win, and against the competition that they really needed to find the win.
And this is actually, coming into this set, still kind of raising a question for me because we saw, Fnatic usually expected to win anyway, so it's not that big of a deal. Coming into Mouse, having Uber's Pady, are the other four members veteran enough, practiced enough on their own to be able to take on Mousesports with them?
I mean, that's another question.
Do they have enough emotion?
Do they have enough crossed arms? Let's talk about the man with the plan, Purdue. I've said his name so many times in casting over the last couple of years. He's been one of those big stars for NIP. Obviously, without Lazy in the lineup right now, Uber Spady given a little bit of the leeway to play the Zen, but Purdue on the Mave and such, doing things today that were looking good. It just was outshone oftentimes within the draft, within just some of the competence from Fnatic, which is overwhelming, to say the least. But still had some moments here. Won his duels against great players, and I think it's Bittner Fasheko still respecting this guy, as all of Mousesports should.
And I want to say that his flexibility is really going to be key, I think, against Mousesports. It's one of those things that, again, when you have a newer member, you have to figure out how you want to tiptoe around them, how you want to bring them in. Do you want to make them kind of a focus? We've seen Uber Spade does take on that damage role, and he plays a pretty mean Eevee when given the opportunity. But Purdue being kind of that persistent standing stone that you can rely on, he's going to be good damage no matter who he's playing on. And like you said, when he was up against Fnatic, kind of getting outshone by some of the members on that side, here he's going to be one of the ones that I think is going to be outshining some of the rest.
He does need to take control. That's a big question. That's a big talking point for us today. And will he take control? I mean, looking at how this is invested, how this is kind of shifted for us, we've seen NIP more take the driver's seat rather than that director role, which we've oftentimes seen them play in high-level Paladins esports, controlling the pace of the game, controlling the drafts. They've now trying to adapt to what this single tank meta is, and sometimes having some difficulty, sometimes having some success. Mousesports, though, really having a lot more success in the last couple of weeks than they've had ever in the PPL with their first win last week, and now, doing okay against Na'Vi, although not getting any games.
The first thing I think I wrote about them, the first loss they took, it was a 3-0 in the week, the very first week, I believe, against Na'Vi. And the first thing I wrote was that was a deceptive loss because they played really well, and it came down to the fact that Na'Vi was just that good. And it was one of those things that, Fnatic's just that good. And then for the while, NIP was just that good. It was just, you couldn't really beat these teams that seemed insurmountable. Now we see Mousesports, I want to say, coming together a lot more than in that initial week. And I'm really thinking that this might be the opportunity for them to turn things around.
What I see when I see a team like this, I see a lot of potential. I see a lot of guys who've grinded out, who have made adjustments. They've obviously been training, trying out different ways to mix this lineup up and have each other mesh. And that's what I've noticed this week has actually started to improve their play. Maybe it's just their synergy. They're the same mechanical players, although that's been good from the likes of Andrew Doodle and such. It's just seemed to give them another layer of confidence. And moving forward, I think Saibate, he's one of those guys that can really take control. He's got experience from last season playing on Fnatic. He's an incredibly accomplished player already for how young he is and how strong he is as a player. And he's still got a lot of upside.
And it was one of those things that coming into the season, it kind of weird,
very
I
consistent.
want to say, to come through. It's 88, 88, 89. One more assist. He's been helping out just a little bit more than anybody.
Generous man.
But with the damage he has, the output, the control he has, and like you said, mechanics, he's been a really solid player that was kind of surprising to see him not on Fnatic, but having him come to Mousesports, he has been pretty much right there. Kind of similar to what we saw Bittner when he transferred into Fnatic. It just looks like he's at home.
And I think this is where you want to be. I mean, a team that is growing, has a lot to do, but still in a really good spot and showing people who have been supporting them for the while or getting excited about supporting them that, hey, there is something here. We are going somewhere. Stick with us. We will find those wins and make you feel very happy that you've supported us all along. Map bans already out there. and heading into the map that they will play on the picks and bans as well for the draft. How do you anticipate Mousesports reacting to trying to take down NIP here?
I mean, I think one of the bigger issues, and this has been, I want to say, the case for NIP most of the time, they get rid of Fish Market. They get rid of a map they know they're not going to be able to do as well on, and then you end up going to places normally like Frog Isle, like Jaguar Falls, somewhere where everyone knows how to play it and they have a lot of
Except
experience.
Na'Vi, apparently.
And apparently now they're going to Frozen Guard, so it's going to be really interesting to see how they adapt to it. I mean, snipers have kind of been devoid today after being the talk of the town for the last couple weeks. No teams really put them out there.
It's hard because I think a lot of other champions have stolen the limelight, and that is going to happen from time to time. It doesn't mean snipers aren't good. It doesn't mean like Terminus, kind of being outshone by many other front lines. Doesn't mean that he is also, not having that type of awesome kind of awareness to be able to impact the point and stay on the objective with a great fight. Now, heading into it, NIP, 2 bans, Torvald and Zen, Mouse now, Ruckus, and Makoa.
Genos has been escalating all the way to the top. He has been one of those picks that it was kind of hit or miss, a little bit of touch here, a little bit of touch there. Then he became, okay, well, we'll get him if we are the second team. We'll just grab him up.
Yeah.
Now, first pick. It has been prioritized a little bit more heavily, I believe by NIP total today, but a lot of people noticing the impact he has on games.
So the Genos taken Inara Pip. This is what I'm expecting here from Mouse.
Yeah.
They take the Inara, they take the Pip, and then you go right back to the NIP. But they're not going to. Mouse have had mild success with the Pip, and I think that's where NIP have this rare opportunity. Mouse not so attached to the Pip. It's not the same thing as with Fnatic, where we know Visheko can play it lights out, and NIP now going to get the Genos. They're going to get the Pip. That's Luminary on top of a potential Catalyst. That's nasty stuff, and so they grab the Buck as well.
And we saw earlier how hard Buck hits. Just without a Genos, then you add that on, he's hitting thousands of damage to the point where a couple of shots, you're not going to be able to sustain yourself. Cassie, Shaolin, both going to have to be really worried about that positioning, where they take these fights, how far back they're standing versus where exactly he's trying to get aggressive. But Mouse do the same thing that I think we've been seeing a lot today. And Nara, Cassie, Shaolin, Maldamba, save that last pick. Do you want to go double frontline? Do you want to go triple damage? Either way, you're in a safe spot.
We're rounding things out here towards the end of the draft. Obviously, the EV comes in. That's a good pickup as far as a flank roll. Terminus now taken as well. Solo front line for NIP. Feeling confident against the Inara. Mouse now have the question, do we double it up? Do we go another DPS? Maeve's on the table. Have we seen it play? Bomb King on the table. This should be an easy pickup for Andrew Doodle if he wants that. You've got Koa. You've got Sidemate locked in. I mean, the Leon could get picked, and Andrew Doodle could flex onto something like the Cassie or the Shaolin. But, I mean, I'm feeling Bomb King is a decent pickup here.
I wholeheartedly agree with that, and they apparently do too. It's just one of those things when it comes down against Eevee, comes to Pip, comes to Buck, it just really, really helps shut them down, and it takes a while to get there, but they still found it.
Well, all journeys, they got to start somewhere. Let's see if Mousesports can climb the inevitable hill that is NIP, or if NIP will find themselves a victory in this very tough week.
I mean, this should be an interesting match because going into this week, I mean, NIP have some changes, makes it a little shaky. Mousesports, yeah, they got a victory, but are having a difficult time with some of the top-ranked teams in the region.
I will say the one thing they've got going for them right now is Uberspady probably on that EV, and that is home for him. We saw him look vicious on that against Fnatic. Not going to be scared to play against Fnatic. Why would you be scared to play it against Mousesports? Can he step up and play in this caliber of the PPL? I think so, and I think this is his absolute comfort pick. That's where you would want him.
Yeah, so don't forget, everybody, first of all, that we are about to be ending this part of the broadcast in this link. All you have to do is refresh and make sure you migrate over towards the other one, as well as who do you think is going to be winning this? Is it NIP? Is it Mousesports? What do you think?
You know, at this point, I don't think either of these teams have a hope to make it to land, so I just hope we get a good set, all in all, at the end of the day. Like for Ninjas and Pyjamas, throw us a heart for Mousesports if you think they can take it, and we'll have to see. I mean, Ascension Peak, unfortunately, banned. Bonker won't be able to hop into what he's coined the jacuzzi anymore.
Oh, is that what it is?
I almost say the well of shame at this point.
I feel like, I mean, jacuzzis are usually a bit wider because
that's what I said.
Like more than
He's
one
European.
person.
I don't know. Maybe they think wells are jacuzzis. They're all backwards over there.
Find it down at the bottom, maybe. Watch a little too much Once Upon a Time or something.
Bonker's like Silence and the Lambsing down at the bottom of the well.
But hey, maybe for another day we'll get some more well action, but here it's more about the glaciers than anything else.
Yep, long-range play here on Frozen Guard. Recently reworked. A lot of gameplay elements have since changed. No real snipers drafted in this game, but still some long range here for Mousesports with Koa and Cybe 8. They have a great composition. Frankly, if they can capture and push here, Ninjas in Pyjamas a little bit more close range. But overall, I like the style that they've gone for. Bird on the pip is definitely exciting to me, as well as seeing Perdo back on Buck. Not a character Ninjas in Pyjamas have gone to very frequently. Uberspady, of course, he's the stand-in today for Lazy, and he's on a pick that he is most well known for. Of course, not playing in the PPL just yet, but still looking good. Finds the first shot, and we all know how important that is for morale.
Yeah, try and get something rolling for the rest of the team. And hey, I mean, there's always going to be a bit of a curve when you add somebody new onto the team. So if you can put them on a comfort pick, then that kind of mitigates some of that shakiness. But there's First Blood going over to Andrew Doodle, nonetheless, on to Uberspady.
Oh, that's pretty crazy that he ended up. Didn't see how he ended up going down there. Didn't get stunned because the Grumpy Bomb was already used up on the point. Doodle's behind his frontliner. He's starting to get into the wheelhouse, and that is just where Bomb King is objectively most dangerous.
Double kill for the Doodle himself. Gets slammed on and targeted by Sheepa nonetheless, but at least he got some value beforehand. 39 to 36% onto the objective. Nice way to go. Close him in. Sheepa.
Beautiful stuff from NTBs. He's looked great all day for Mousesports, running that solo frontline, allowing what is really turning into a high-octane roster. Mousesports starting to come together, look better than they ever have. Uberspady trying to deal with him. Koa not really concerned about where he's blinking to, just wanting to wait for this EV where she's blinking back to find some pressure, as Mousesports, after that win in the first team fight, will take the first payload of the game as well.
Yeah, and that's got to be something good for them going into this. Though, of course, during the last match, we saw a similar situation. Need a bit of good follow-up. Met by the wall once more. Sheepa's just getting blocked by NTBs.
Yeah, he's definitely being had a little bit right now, and there's a lot of control to be had with the Nara. She controls the battlefield just about better than I almost want to say any other frontline in the game. Terminus is just a big sponge, a sponge that is lethal if he gets up in your face. Koa finds Uberspady again, so Uber having a tough time here, and that's not exactly what you expect. You want to give Eevee the benefit of the doubt in most of those 1v1 matchups with those backlines.
Oh, triple kill for Koa as well. We were commenting during the last set about seeing these switch-ups of everybody's roles, but yeah, the Shaolin is looking very comfortable for Koa.
And this is a great thing to have for them. Shaolin, it's just that it's nothing super special about the kid. It's really a character that I feel like it's almost all the player. It's up to you to make it happen with that guy. And so many great EU Shaolin still continuing to find pressure. I don't know if I'd call him the weak link for Ninjas in Pyjamas, but right now, Uberspady definitely being exploited and taken down often and early.
Just these staggered kills coming out. Ninjas in Pyjamas losing a couple of them. There's a minute to go. And this payload in that difficult process tried to pop the ultimate for Koa, but ends up going down. Sheepa, one trade before eliminated. Cybe 8 getting chickified and blasted by Bird.
And Bird's going to try and hold this fight together. He dropped his heel. He's got his Astro Mark. He's fighting tooth and nail to keep himself up in this fight. But Doodle, he's got to that dangerous wheelhouse again. Uber finally starting to find some traction here. He's picked up 2 frags so far in this engagement. And B's not with a lot of HP to give.
Only 704 to him, but still managing to last.
What you doing? Where you going? What you doing?
Hey,
what you doing? Where you going?
He says, see ya. I'm just going to dip now. Because, I mean, in the meantime, NTBs knows what they were going for.
That's a lot of time burned off the clock, though. Probably about 5 seconds there. 8 more seconds for the respawn. Another 10 to 15 for NTBs to get back across the map. Hopefully, Eevee doesn't give up any more picks here. Let's take a look at the slash lines real quick while we wind up here for this last fight, potentially going into overtime here. Everything looking pretty good so far for the Mousesports.
2-1-6 on Sepclaw, 2-1-8. NTBs overtime does set in. The payload's not in a bad spot either if they can kind of get a good fight going for him. Lots of ultimates available as well. Cybe manages to get quite a bit of damage, but takes some from Uberspady as well.
There it is. NIP starting to find some momentum here. One more shot will be good onto the support pair. No, Sheepa combined, finding frags of their own. Bomb King the last to fall, but last is not least. Doodle, a very dangerous and important part of this Mousesports composition and succeeding overall, but the defense will hold. The scoreline evens at 1-1.
Good use of the high ground there. I mean, it took a little bit of time for NIP to kind of get their bearings to him, but nonetheless found their footing and going into this next round, I mean, Mousesports was able to get the first capture and got a lot of credits to them as well. A couple of them pulling nicely on the damage, too.
Yeah, top 3 spots here in Cybate. I believe he was 0-2 there. Not a great start for him. We've seen that earlier today, though. Second on the damage charts, Madara going 0-6 with Cassie. And sometimes that's just the way the cookie crumbles. I don't think these teams are too worried about their slash lines, to be completely honest with you. Their comms really just calling out targets. And as long as the kill happens, that's really all that matters. Whoever gets the killing blow gets the killing blow.
Understanding that the glory for the team is more important than the individual glory at times. Try and focus on point at hand, trying to get that win. But Koa's been doing a great job of holding it down as well. We commented on it before. Through time and space. Activated from that angle. Not finding any deaths on that one. King Bomb wound on up. Gets the stun. Immediately answers with the reanimate. But luckily there's some nice walls at bay. Andrew Doodle getting the double kill.
The in-hands from Andrew Doodle have been incredible. He lays a trap for Evie as she comes back from the wormhole. Doodle reading Uberspady like a book.
I mean, Andrew Doodle's been great on this Bomb King all day, even when they have had the losses. So he's continuing with that momentum.
And I think they got this last in the draft. That's a big problem. That's something we talk about often at these international lands when these styles clash and come together. When a team like Mousesports is able to get such an impactful pick last, it opens up so much space for them early in the draft to get whatever they want for everyone else.
There's a Dread Serpent actually on high ground, but blocked off. Mousesports get another capture right off of that ultimate. So now, time to continue through once more.
And look at Mousesports go. Their first win last week, looking great, taking a game, looking like today off of Ninjas in Pyjamas, nearly taking a couple off of Nautis Vincier. Can they take this set home? That'll be the question. They're looking good off the start. If they can keep this draft and these plays going the way they have been, I really have a lot of hope for them today.
Yeah, about 2 minutes to go on this push. Everybody is spun back up. A few of these ultimates just need a little bit of extra charge. NIP, I mean, at the beginning of that last push for Mousesports were a little iffy. Towards the end, started to get everything online. Bonker and Chippa both picking up kills, though. And lots of Astral Marks just spread out everywhere.
Yeah, everyone's got them. NIP half winning this fight, half losing this fight. Mousesports diving deep, and those that did dive got punished for it, but now answering back. NIP finding 3 frags of their own on the defense here. They have a short-range composition, so they've almost got a hold from some interesting spots. And right now, it almost feels like Blue, don't get it twisted though, they are on the defense. Ninjas in Pyjamas are holding much past half court into enemy territory here to try and keep a lid on Mousesports' offense.
I mean, because of that range of theirs, I mean, it makes sense for them to want to get into the face of Mousesports. And keeping their distance from the payload, that's just allowing kind of a bit of room for error as well. But here's a seismic crash, manages to go far. Cybate wanting to follow up. Andrew Doodle gets the kill onto Bird.
That's a great little clean kill there. Doodle keeps throwing bombs into the back of Sheepa's head. Spady doing his best to try and get in here and put some pressure on Cyb8, but meanwhile, they've got bigger problems in the back line. Doodle with a triple kill, +1 for 4 total. Taking Mousesports on the offense, keeping them moving forward.
I mean, he's getting doubles on doubles on doubles, triples. Andrew Doodle is just really, I mean, I can't say it enough just how impactful he's been for the team. And I mean, when you got NTBs also being aggressive in the way that he has, great walls. There's a rampage for Andrew Doodle. Ship was down.
Incredible stuff. Nice job playing over the top of the power siphon as well. Only hitting for about 280, 300 or so, but still the chip damage is going to add up onto Terminus over time. Last couple of seconds here for Mousesports. They'll send this into overtime, but they're going to have to win another fight. They're going to have to go through Ninjas in Pyjamas with 5 ultimates to hold the defense if they want to convert.
Shippa putting himself right in front of the payload to try and contest walls as well, used by NTBs for this progress. Got to make it under this bridge area. The high ground occupied by Ninjas in Pyjamas. Uberspady wanting to get a couple hits for himself, finds one onto Koa.
Frankly does. He's going to soar out, look for Maldamba, finds it as well. Spady with a ton of great shots there. One that, I mean, Mao finds the triple kill there. The only kill that he didn't finish, Sheepa ended up actually landing the killing blow for it. So Uber definitely finding a lot of value towards the end. He's gone into Haven 3. And I mean, with the way that game started, You really can't fault him for doing so. He got picked, I think, 3 times in a row before finding a kill. When you're looking at Cassie, when you're looking at Shaolin, there's so much single target burst damage coming out of those champions. You got to buy all the time you can.
It's very clear how comfortable Uber Spady is on this Eevee and finding those moments to shine. So currently 2-2. Mousesports has gotten both of the captures. Ninjas and Pyjamas have been managing to hold in. I mean, that last part of the push is a very key holding place for the defense, and they've taken full advantage of that.
Yeah, and that's where, when those offenses do get going, that's probably where they'll get to. That's where they're going to meet the resistance against Ninjas and Pyjamas. Long-range ultimates come out, but NIP still with no frags.
Well, anybody going to go down just yet? You heard the Heat Haze get popped off, but will he pop off on the Shaolin? Gets one onto Bordeaux, but looking for a bit more. Oh, nice hit onto Bird from afar, but he's got his own. The seismic crash.
Right over the edge of the cliff there.
Yep.
On NTBs and in Mousesports. Doesn't seem to be slowing them down, Gabriella. They are still winning this fight.
Yeah, 3 had fallen from Ninjas and Pyjamas, 51% for Mousesports. Andrew Doodle getting really aggressive in his positioning, as well as the rest of the team. So this is leaving very little opening for NIP to try and break through.
Sidebait still finds another pretty delayed frag there, so Bird just now respawning for NIP. 96% on the objective for Mousesports, a clean capture, and a 3rd offense in a row for Mouse.
I mean, they're looking great in these captures, just able to get these hits, and even when some ultimates don't quite hit in the way they want them to, still have somebody to kind of pick up the slack in other cases.
Ferdo brings one down with him as they both head back to base here. Ultimates pretty much expended from Mousesports. NIP will have a couple. And right here is where they would want to hold a little bit more aggressively with their short-range composition, but they've gone ahead and fallen all the way back to their base here. Maybe trying to encroach out a little bit now. But it's almost a risk where Mousesports have already been able to sort of dig in is where I think NIP would prefer to be holding.
Yep, Sheepa ventured a bit forward and met the payload directly. And then some of the members of NIP are there to follow, but NTB's actually circled around from the sideline to get his positioning right. Koa still in the back, landing some of these shots, but Mousesports, they got to break this bridge.
There it is, blinking up forward. Sidebait finds one to answer back onto Uber. Blinking up over the top again, but misses his entry shot. Sheepa and Perdo, the Finnish duo over the top. Uber Spady can still play at this pace.
You're taking out the healing, makes it difficult for everybody else, following with your frontliner. And that was 3 that had fallen on the side of Mousesports with a bit of over a minute to spare. NIP starting to just kind of hold in the same places they have been before. They're not afraid to back up and wait for Mousesports to come to them.
Potion launcher, finding some damage out from distance. We saw a little bit of this in the previous round. NIP coming out to meet Mousesports before it was too late. They want to give up too much of this map. Perdo finds another kill onto Doodle before going down, but I think that's going to be worth it at this stage. It's basically even both teams about as far away from the spawn as one another. So trading out 1 for 1 is just going to burn time off the clock for the defense.
Uber Spady still doing really well in this Eevee, and Sidebait managing to land some NTBs, gets the last hit onto Uber Spady. Maybe able to create a little bit of an opening. 2 for 1 so far. But this payload got pushed really far back, and there's not a lot of time left, but NIP, they're dropping.
Ooh, Bonker almost takes down Sidebait with him. Fancy footwork won't be quite enough. Terminus is fumbling around in the backline all by himself, and as long as they take him down cleanly, I wonder if Sheepa is going to reanimate here. He's kind of alone, so I tend to feel like he won't. 2 people down for NIP right now as we head into overtime. Mousesports trying to take a first game off a team that just wouldn't have been in the conversation for an upset a couple of weeks ago.
Scout used to add that vision, and NTB staying right on the payload, met by Terminus. Sheepa making his way down the Dread Serpent, thrown onto the high ground, forcing this Geno Safar. And Andrew Doodle, though, no, he gets taken out by Bonker.
Is it going to be enough, though? The defense needs to stabilize. They need more kills. Bonker's got a great ankle on some of the other members of this fight. Perdo finishes what he started, and as long as Bonker stays safe, keeps applying the heals and a little bit of pressure, NIP should be all good to go for a 3-3 defense.
Yeah, 1 drop, 2 drop, 3 drop, and with that, 3-3, Ninjas and Pyjamas versus Mousesports. This is where Mousesports found themselves during the first game against Na'Vi, and then Na'Vi was able to
Yeah, I always get
through.
super scared. I hate these scenarios if I'm
Yeah.
Mousesports. I hate winning every single payload every single time because it's just, you haven't had to adjust to anything that NIP have done really on the offense. There isn't going to be an offense from them. The game's going to end here. They've had 3 rounds to assess what you've been doing right on the objective, and now they can probably make an educated guess at what you'll try and do this time around and make their counterpunch, and then you have to scramble to find an answer before the clock strikes 0.
account for the strategy, account for the itemization, what ults might be online. I mean, NIP has every single one of their ultimates up right now versus the one on the side of Mousesports. That's going to make it really difficult for them. Mousesports actually take over to kind of that side plateau. Getting a little bit of poke. There's through time and space.
He tried to do his best Gara impression right there, but he comes up short there. 1 frag for Saibe, but here comes Doodle.
Look who he's going to find. Circling around, Tashiba gets the stun. One more in hand, but throws up the hands and actually finds himself to safety with the Shatterfall. But meanwhile, NTBs has been sitting on the objective.
Buying time for Uber to get back to this objective. 41% climbing now to 51 to 51. NIP all tied up. 3 frags for Mousesports. I don't know if they can stop this bleeding soon enough.
Only 2 around from NIP, and Koa, he's ready to throw it down when need be. 78% for Mousesports. But they're running into a bit more trouble. Ship has made his way onto the objective, but you throw that gourd right under him and blast it away.
Mousesports looking like they've got game 1 about wrapped up. Uber's going to try and get in here. He's going to start the overtime coming flying in. NIP are fighting with everything they've got, but they've only gotten 1 kill so far, and that's just not going to be enough.
Overtime is still dwindling on down. Saibe got the triple kill previously, and Mousesports with a victory to start off this set.
Beautiful stuff from them. I love the way Koa was counterplaying this this Eevee as well on the Shelin. Every time she blinked over his head, it didn't even change eyes, right? He's looking straight at where she came from. The second she wormholes back, he's putting some more pressure. He's finding confirmed, guaranteed damage. And overall, I think they played very nicely around Uberspady, who is going to be a big key for them. And even though he was on his comfort pick there, Mousesports just had plenty of answers.
Yeah, I'm sure they were just as scared as we were of, oh no, it's the 3-3 scenario. But
Yeah.
even with all the ultimates up on the opposite end, they still managed to close it. So, Desk, what you think?
Well, pretty incredible stuff there. Mousesports, they tie it up. They get 1 win this week, at least in games, with Virtus Pro. So now this is a totally different conversation because Gore, I was saying, maybe they'll get games. NIP look the lesser team here. Mousesports look better, and I think they're the favorites right now to win the set.
And there were some really big moments, I want to say, for NIP where they showed up and they did something that, okay, that was really good. But it was just few and far in between. Mousesports really solid overall. Koa being able to kind of stand out to me specifically, the Shaolin being a pretty good home for him, considering, again, before what I had recognized him for was, okay, they grabbed Genos, that's going to Koa. That's the only place that it really tends to go. Cephacloud being able to step up, and Cybe as well being able to go through. But I think all of that kind of glances over what the Bomb King was accomplishing.
Well, I mean, I think you hit the nail on the head here with Andrew Doodle and his play. It's been phenomenal. We know that. He's gotten triple kills. He's gotten basically triple +1s, looking like quadra kills. And then you've got Saibe, who's finding triple kills as well. This all goes into the play of something called win conditions. They had 3 win conditions on the side of Mousesports. And that's why this meta is so interesting, because instead of having the 2 tanks where you have maybe 2 win conditions, 2 tanks, sometimes a support, an off support, and a damage dealer where we used to see in certain metas, now you have 1 tank, 1 support, and 3 DPS, 3 win conditions really driving the show. Each one of those players, Shaolin, Cassie, Bomb King, can dominate this game and take it into the next level. They can make that triple kill play and get the point for your team. NIP working with a bit more of a defensive strategy. They go double support, even though one is the Genos, the other one is the Pip, and he's more utility. But then Perdo, on the buck, that's okay. It's just not the same amount of, I think, impact in order to take away whatever's happening on that objective. And that's where you get to, I think, why Mousesports were so successful. Koa, Saibe, Doodle, they all had their moments where they took over.
And I really think it worked well that we saw kind of a switch, I want to say, from Bees, where he was going in, mainly the Fernando, trying to be a little bit more aggressive, finally going with
he's
the
been good,
Inara.
man.
So it was just, you're going to live a little bit longer. Your Moldamba has to worry a little bit less about you all the time.
Yeah.
And they can focus around. You have a lot more control on this point with this champion. And I kind of like the switch up, being able to kind of flex. I mean, a bunch of front lines. You don't have to stick to one, and kind of being able to step around. I think that showcases a lot. Interestingly enough, that's a Bomb King.
That is. Yeah. I mean, a Bomb King ban for Mousesports here as well. Uber Spady also, they have the Eevee and the Buck, although win conditions a little harder, I think, to pull off with the Cassie, the Shaolin, and the Bomb King, at least in terms of the way that we've seen them play. I think the Eevee ban is actually almost a good thing for NIP. They're forcing Uber Spady into something else because Eevee hasn't really worked. But in many ways, it's also Mousesports testing, hey, Uber Spady, you've got an Eevee. We know you've got one. What else do you have? Because you're filling in this role where Lazy was very flexible. He would play off tank a lot of times. I mean, he'd support for crying out loud. He'll do whatever his team needed and do it pretty well.
I'm kind of curious. NIP have had a high value for Genos this entire time. And that time, it didn't really get to shine out the way that we've seen it in past games, past weeks. I feel like Mouse have kind of recognized, maybe this is just a trend. Maybe this is just something that it seems on paper really strong, but we can take it down.
I'm gonna counter and say I don't think it's a trend. I think it's valid. But what we saw Fnatic do is that we know that you have to play against this Genos as well. You cannot always get a draft where you don't have that, where you have the Genos. So they've already started thinking about, all right, how do we play against it? And I think Mousesports are almost taking that perspective, saying, we've seen Bees run for 5 out of 6 games today. It's been very successful for him. He's run the Inara when possible. They're saying these things work for us. We need to make sure we have a lineup that works for our team, whether we get Luminary Genos or whether we get whatever. We need to make sure we can play.
And what comes down to it is when you look at Pip coming in, he's going to have some healing. But really, you get the brand, you get the kinetics, you get a bunch of anti-heal right off the bat for Mouse.
Yeah, that's true.
And being able to, even if it was a solo Genos, that shuts down a ton of healing. Without that, okay, yeah, you still get the bonus damage, but you're not being able to recuperate. You can't just kind of peek, hide, and get that passive healing. It's going to be a little bit more difficult for you on the side of NIP overall. And I like the way that they're kind of bouncing around, making sure that this draft goes not only comfortable for them, but still kind of counters things that NIP are focusing on.
Well, NIP are doing the exact same thing we saw. They're prioritizing the Pip, and now this is basically what I described, right? Yeah. The win conditions in NIP's lineup, very minimal. Leon, Pip, if he goes off. But it's not the way Bird was playing that Pip. He was not playing it like a Fasheko. He was not playing it like what we saw Simsalute playing, Virtus Pro, where you just put him on Pip, and he's just Catalyst and dominating the game. And he's like, wow, this carry came out of nowhere. Zen, Shaolin, Cassie, their only thing they do in Paladins is dominate games. Let's send it to the casters and see what they have to think about this draft and the upcoming Game 2.
All right. Yeah, game number 2. Mousesports currently up 1-0. What are you thinking of the draft?
I can't help but feel like Mousesports are attacking Uber Spady in this draft. We got the Bomb King and the Eevee banned out. When I saw that he was going to be standing in for Lazy today, I went to his Twitter page. I tried to, because I don't get to cast the EU PGS, so I don't know a ton about him. So I'm looking through his tweets, and I'm looking what he's posting. A lot of YouTube gameplays of Cassie, Shaolin, Bomb King, Eevee. And I'm like, well, that's all of those champions here for Mousesports or banned out. So Uber Spady, the only other thing he played today was Zen, which Mousesports also have. So what can he play? What else can he do? Are they trying to attack what is a weak link for Ninjas in Pyjamas today with such a fresh roster member?
I mean, this is your way to find out. Take away those picks and see what else he's got in his arsenal. So NIP, they've got to go ahead and turn this around if they want to stay in this, because no one wants to be in a reverse sweep forced situation. And Mousesports have been playing pretty well.
And he doesn't scream like a guy that is going to be uncomfortable as long as he gets some type of blast or something in the back line. Not a big hit scan type of player, it doesn't seem, but he'll be playing the Pip this time around. And Perdo's on Leon. He's the big win condition here, but just kind of passive drafts in what feels like in a very aggressive meta from Ninjas in Pyjamas, but I'm sure they're doing the best with what they've got currently in their roster.
Early falls on both sides. Andrew Doodle taking out Bonker. Uber Spady gets one to his name to say, yeah, look, I can do things on other champions. I'm on the Pip right now. Pip being a very important pick, actually, for a lot of these teams as of late. But Koa still continuing on the Shaolin, gets taken out by Perdo, though.
He peeks his head out just for a second, and Perdo punished him for it. But every time a kill falls either way, it feels like the enemy team has an answer for it within a couple of seconds. Doodle and Bees moving in on the Sonara, but they are completely locked down by a Warder's Field and a wall. 27% on the objective for Mousesports, but they're working on this fight here. Big swings through Doodle. He whirls through and can't get the billow off in time.
A trade both ways. 27% for Mousesports so far, but Ninjas in Pyjamas, they're not out of it. It's been kind of these individual pickoffs. Shippa gets another one onto NTBs. So without that frontliner available, alleviate some of the pressure.
Little Barrick waddling his way onto the point. He's dropping turrets,
It's your
getting himself
buddy.
healed up as well. My boy Barrick out here on his tinkering game, dismounting people like a beast. No turrets dropped on the objective, though. Normally we see a Barrick right in that little cubby hole where the torch is on Barrick's left, just to have a little reprieve, a little bit of a healing station, just for some type of self-sustain here. But Sheepa, it's almost like he's here and he's ready to fall back once pressure is put on.
And there's a little pressure coming through, but Uberspady gets the kills on 10TBs once more. Sheepa picking up one as well. 99% for NIP. Overtime sets on in. Heat Haze popped by Koa. Still looking for some action from him, though.
And here's the Evil Mojo ready to go at a moment's notice. Perdo finding a lot of kills. Bird and Uberspady all throw their hats in the ring. NIP will take the first payload of this game, showing they are down but not out.
And taking down 4 means that they can at least push past this initial bridge. Get some momentum rolling for them. Lots of streaks flying high on their side as well. 9, 8, 5, 7, 7.
Yeah, Leon, it sounds like you were just about to, like, sell me something on some type of commercial.
I had that thought as soon as I said that. It's like it sounded just like some commercial.
Was that Empire, like, carpet commercial where they, you know? I can't remember. Yeah, you got it. You know where I'm headed with this. I can't think of any of those numbers off the top of my head, but you're about at 150 on the clock. And Ninjas in Pajamas trying to get Mousesports to buy what they're selling as they round what is the final corner on this push after just about 50 seconds of time here on the offense. Barrick, he's equipped this payload with the finest, most advanced technology available in the realm. Popping off at 150 DPS, this turret is going to work its way through that Fernando shield after about 1 minute 30 seconds.
Immortal, though, popped as an answer. Trying to hold for Mousesports, but NTBs gets blasted away by Sheepa. 2 of them down actually on that side, so NIP are able to push this through. Double kill from Sheepa on Barrick.
And I mean, just incredible, a mathematically almost perfect push from him. I don't know if the Ninjas in Pajamas stopped at all during that offense. They got their Barrick set up on the point, captured it, and then we're just off to the races. Mousesports definitely got to go back to the drawing board after that round and just talk about, oh my goodness, what went wrong? We just got absolutely rolled. Overall, not the fastest round in terms of the whole thing, but once the payload was captured, Ninjas in Pajamas made quick work of that Mousesports defense.
And 2-0 for them, and they're not losing any momentum. So it's really funny just seeing that mobile turret go through. That's just what it looked like. Like, it wasn't a payload with the turret plastered on it. It was actually just a turret moving on through the forces. But NIP, they seem to get their Barons back with the help of Barrick.
All kinds of ultimate. I wonder if Sheepa's just moving in here for a hyper-aggressive dome shield or something to take back this high ground. Big Evil Mojo hits 3, but none of these chickens end up fried.
Spider away. NTB's trying to burn down onto Inara, but so beefy. Finally falls Bonker to the wayside. 3 actually taken out in that interaction on Ninjas in Pajamas. Maybe Mousesports can find a little bit of footing under themselves.
Cybate, the only one that ends up going down there for Mousesports. Let's take a look at the slash lines here. I want to see how Mousesports are coming out. Kind of a rough first round for them. 1-4, 1-5, 0-3 for Koa, NTBs, and Cybate. Doodle, the only one finding killing blows. Here comes the Dread Serpent for Mousesports, trying to take this one back. They're at 54%, but NIP are here and ready to fight.
And Cloud is still around and managed to collapse upon Bear.
Were they staggering him like mid-fight?
I guess.
That was kind of weird, right?
Yeah.
That didn't look like they were at each other's throats up there.
Yeah, just kind of, it looked like 2 bullies, just like when they put the kid against the lockers and they say, hey.
Give me your lunch money, kid.
Yeah.
We got corn dogs today in the cafeteria. You think I'm missing out on corn dog day?
Oh, we had Papa John's days on Fridays. It was great.
Damn. Okay. 89% NIP.
Dome shield thrown down as well. Keep a bit of that security. Mousesports, yeah, they're trickling on right towards that very end. But 13 streak for Bird on this Genos.
Our Mousesports running out of gas, though. They've got just 1 ultimate to work with. NIP have 2, almost 3, almost 4 back on the Evil Mojo. The time and space double kill for Bonkar. NIP don't even need the ults. They're going to do it all by themselves.
It don't matter if you're at 99%. If NIP is going to wipe out the majority of your team, time for another push. 3-0 in their favor. And looking like they're trying to repeat some of that same action as before.
Mousesports just not looking like they have a hope or a prayer in game 2 here. Not really feeling like the plan is coming to fruition, whatever that plan may have been. If the plan was to attack Uberspady, it's clearly not paying off because he's doing just fine for himself. And you know, you have this star-studded roster around him, so you've got 4 world-class players that are going to be able to step up if you give them a bunch of space in this draft. Not to say, that's just kind of a theory I have. You know, Mousesports still with a solid draft overall. I just can't help but notice a little theme of all things that Uberspady plays.
On the side of NIP, just they have so many strong players that are holding it down for them. I mean, Saibe managed to get a double kill, and that's what delayed this a little bit. Payload finally on the regress. For the first time, I guess, since that payload in the first round looked like it had non-stop powered through. But now they're just back. Same thing as before. All ultimates available to Mousesports, though. If they want to try to hold this, their time and space is used over on the side.
Ooh, they know they've got this doodle almost locked down. The wall drops just a little bit too soon. Peridot will fall to Saib 8, who must be above them right now. I don't know where. Yeah, he's working from the high ground, shooting down upon NIP, who committed hard to that water side flank, but it didn't really pay out.
The Dread Serpent, actually, and you hear the spike go off as well. 3 kills in the favor of Mousesports. So maybe this is going to help them out with the hold a bit.
Perhaps 55 on the clock here. No real ultimates left in the tank for Mousesports. Just have that heat haze. I don't know if they're in a position to want to pop it. Of course, if NIP get any closer, they kind of have to. You don't want to be saving your ultimates for next game, so to speak. Mousesports about to lose Koa, about to lose their only ultimate. He's hiding out, barely invisible in this corner. One more shot from anyone to do it, but he barely squeaks out alive.
Safe, manages to get some healing from the Meltama chicken. We had a moment to look dead into the eyes of that chicken before he was feathered and taken away. 23 seconds. NIP still managing to get a couple hits on them. Take down NTPs. No frontliner for them available. And now, I mean, Mousesports, it's going to be really hard for them at this present time.
Here comes NIP, though, down the warpath. 4 strong, 5 strong. Mousesports just 3 members alive, 2 members alive. The dome shield is down. Double kill for Uberspady. Attack him in the draft if you must, but NIP look like they've got game number 2 under wraps.
And there you have it. So evening the score line in the set 1-1, but that was a very convincing victory from NIP.
Loved what I saw from them. A lot of different approach that time. It wasn't super aggressive. It wasn't super even frag intensive. It was a lot of just, frankly, this barrack getting set up and just a lot of frontline momentum using what they had, which was that frontline advantage. It's 2 versus 1, and there just wasn't the kill potential coming through from Mousesports. NIP looking solid in their style.
And so everything is tied up at the time being, so let's go ahead and see what Rain Day and Goremizer have to say.
Well, you know, it looks like those win conditions don't end up paying off because what NIP have that Mousesports don't are more not lose conditions. Those 2 front lines, they end up having the more sustain, the double support, the double front line, and it ends up outlasting on the point. They win those fights, they win the long ones, and it's just not enough damage on the side, I guess, of Mousesports to be able to really clinically finish them off before they can get back in the fight.
And one of the things you had mentioned when we were going into that game was that you kind of relied on Leon popping off, on Pip, someone making a big impact. Uberspady paid off with that. He made sure that he was going to be able to come in and have that impact. I mean, towards the end there, just constantly getting kills, double kills, setting it up so that his team couldn't fail, essentially, the way that you were saying. There was no lose condition. He was just making sure they were always going forward. And even right here is actually just such a perfect moment. You can hide in the corner all you want. He can shoot around him.
He gets 2 right there. I mean, so much value, and that actually ends up leading to that push that does go their way. And I mean, you know, you look at it, I like to relate this to soccer a little bit too because, you know, there's 2 different styles of coaching a lot of times.
Yeah.
And in the United States, very bad soccer kind of country, unfortunately, in terms of the world. You know, loves the defensive style. I mean, this year we didn't qualify for the World Cup. And I could have seen this coming. I played on the U17 national team, U18 national team when I was growing up. I've been around these guys and these coaches, and they are defense first. That is their thought. Like, and when you get a guy like Messi, when you get a guy like Ronaldo, and they're on against you, there's no amount of good defense you could play that's going to stop a magic moment for them. And that's where I think Mousesports need to take the onus. If they want to play this triple DPS, I think it's a good bet for them. Expect Saib 8, expect Andrew Dooley to have those magic moments. Unfortunately, this time around, the defense is strong from NIP, from Mouse, and Uberspady is the one who pops off. really, as well as Prideaux, who had a very solid game himself.
Yeah, just being able to keep them locked down, and like you had said, they have solid win conditions, I guess, for Mouse. When you come into it, you have something that's reliable. Damage from Cassie, it's easy to fall back on. You don't have to worry about it. But when you have someone on the other side that does step up, that has that phenomenal performance, you don't usually get a second chance against someone like that, and I think that's exactly why NIP are able to take that as quickly and as almost simply as they make it seem. Of course, being able to run the Barrack, actually a lot more aggressive than I think we've seen some Barracks lately, and just showing that he does have a place in the meta if you can find it.
I think Barrack also is kind of he's one of those where you don't really like talking about. There's not much to say, but it really is a very hard champion to work around and to deal with when he's being played by a smart player who knows his role, who's not overstepping. Sheepa really maximized his time on Barrack. He gave Bonker a lot of space. He tag teamed very well. He created a lot of issues that just were hard for Mouse to solve. They again prioritize the Cassie. This time they take the pip away, which Andrew Doodle played notably on Brightmarsh when they grabbed it. So maybe expecting that to happen here for Jaguar Falls.
And I wouldn't mind, or I don't mind, seeing that kind of picked up again. It was one of the things that you're trying to take care of what Uberspady can do. You get rid of the Bomb King, you get rid of the Eevee. You know that he's trying to pick something up. Well, he just did really well on Pip. I guess we're going to take that. We can do something with it at least, but just keep it out of his hands. Keep them from having another tool in the toolbox, and then grab the Genos so you have Cassie having a little bit more damage overall. And I like the fact that Mouse kind of prioritized this beginning. It's still like, this is a standard composition, but you don't know where they're going.
I mean, the issue for me, though, is when you ban the Bomb King, you ban the Eevee, you take the Pip, you really got to have a good performance. Uberspady, he's playing well today, but you're also banning out your own champions for Andrew Doodle, and Andrew Doodle was the key for me on that Frozen Guard game for why they popped off so well. Mousesports doing something that NTBs has known to do. It's in its highlight reel. This Terminus able to slam down against the Fernando, Buck, Inara, and Zen thus far for NIP. Shaolin will round out their draft. That you can expect to go to Koa. So Mouse kind of getting what they want. I'd say definitely getting what they want, actually.
Yeah, I'm honestly really happy with that, with the way things went. You can see where the comfort is, the players that are going to play it. I mean, Cybate on Cassie, you're going to have Andrew Doodle on the Pip, you're going to have Koa on the Shaolin. Everyone's happy with what they have, and I think the comfort actually gives them that little bit of a leg up in a fight.
And you could see the Zen. Maybe that is what Uberspady's playing. I think we mentioned that earlier. I think Nick was talking about it. So clearly, Mouse looking to take away those champions, NIP looking to use those champions. They're tied up 1-1. Who thought this would be a set? Well, let's find out as we head into Game 2 here on Jaguar Falls.
Still no BK, still no Eevee.
Yeah, I mean they take the Pip this time. Let them have the Zen. We'll have to see kind of how it goes. Those two combinations, the Genos and the Zen, and then the Pip and the Nara have been two themes today that we've been seeing. They're split up, and it'll be interesting to see how they each kind of succeed on their own. If there's any cross synergies between those four champions here, it's all tied up going into map number 3 between Mousesports and NIP.
All right, Jaguar Falls is where the action will go down currently, and I mean, some of these pips particular to this map, I mean, Mousesports has things in their arsenal that can really put them ahead, and they managed to bring this map pretty far against Na'Vi previously.
Yeah, and that'll be a decent indicator of do Na'Vi stink at Jaguar Falls, or is it just Mousesports and VP have got their plan locked down on this map? And Ninjas in Pyjamas going to start off with a couple of cauterizes. Mousesports, same story there. 2 cots, 1 wrecker. No wrecker for NIP because there's no shielding on Mousesports.
No.
And that just makes sense.
Terminus going to make it there earlier, though. NTB's working into that early master riding. Peek in the corners just a little bit.
Hello.
Hello,
Clarice.
Popping right on out. Andrew Joel making his rotation around onto the Pip this time. Still no BK available to him. First blood.
Continue to rotate around with Cybe8, who's found that very instrumental first blood. No sustain, no support for NIP. And if Mouse just take the rest of this fight carefully, they can even take unfavorable HP trades, but they can easily grind NIP out of this fight without any healing on the board.
Careful is for sure the right word, though, because several members of NIP were kind of waiting around that corner, granted fairly low on HP, but had a moment to heal back up. Mousesports in the meantime, 36% onto the objective, but everyone is back, everybody's ready.
Uberspady working his way in now, finding some swipes, and does actually clean up Doodle, who was just trying to get out of the fight. He wasn't interested in any more aggression here. Uberspady not sure which way he wants to go, but now there's a Terminus in front of him and an narwhal beautifully placed here by Sheepa. Keeps NTBs locked in the objective room.
Uberspady gets the credit for that one. Ninjas in Pyjamas back onto the objective. Cybe 8 offering some vision, getting these hits onto Inara, but nonetheless still so hard to burn through, having to back off out of it.
I mean, regardless that he doesn't get any kills there, Cybe does a massive amount of damage to Sheepa, to Uber, and to Bonkar, forcing them all back onto the objective, not letting NIP gain any map control.
One hit over there from the planted, and yeah, 72%. There's actually the Dread Serpent activated by Ninjas in Pyjamas, but 2 of them have fallen. It's a 1-for-2 trade so far. The Immortal activated as well, so Bonkar keeping himself alive, coupled up with this fellow frontliner, and 2 of them fall.
Sheepa realizes the problem here is Cybe 8 almost free firing into this entire fight. Cybe 8 does so much work for Mousesports there to keep them in the game, and now he's rolling forward, trying to take the heat to Bird. Almost finds that frag as well. Uberspady trying to box out, trying to buy time, but it's just not going to pay off. The overtime here will expire in favor of Mousesports.
There you go, another capture in their favor. But they're going to have to keep up this momentum. More chickens. Andrew Doodle getting the kill onto Bonkar. So that's going to add a little bit of momentum moving on forward with this push.
That was some pretty serious peel coming out. Doodle pops the evil mojo. NTBs put Cybe 8 inside of the power siphon. That is the first-class princess treatment here. And, you know, the only girl on Mousesports, of course, everyone's trying to fight for her attention.
Wants the attention of the prom queen, but NIP still end up losing a member. Again, a 1-for-1 trade. This is just a lot of blood back and forth. Hasn't been like a huge wipe in one side or the other. But Cybe with the double.
He's starting to spray, and I was going to say this earlier. I almost want to ask, where's the spray gone? Because this used to be like we would see shot spray, shot ability spray. You know, that was a part of Cybe 8's rotation and just who he was. Not seeing a ton of it here in Season 2, but every once in a while, you know, you got to let him know.
Go back to your roots, baby. Cybe 8, get the sprays on lock. But, I mean, this payload's knocking at the front door. 122, trickling on down, but plenty of time to move it on. 10 streak for Cybe 8. Really great on this Cassie.
Mousesports they're really spread out right now, and they don't really have kill potential on a lot of people. Sheepa throws up the wall, gets a ton of healing through. That was their best bet. Perdo, he recovers in the backline as well. No kills have fallen for almost a minute. Koa finally finds a frag on Uber.
Bonkar barely made it out, had to charge away, and here's some more
Look at
ultimates. Just right there in the middle of it.
He's almost dead. He had to be under 100 HP. I wonder what he eventually got down to, but Mousesports, they find a way to slip it through.
Hey, you gotta give it to him. That's 2-0 for Mousesports. I don't think they've been up this far in any game, because whenever they would get the capture and still
you're right,
lose the push.
A first time for everything, I guess. NIP, will they lose this game to Mousesports, who've looked so good so far? Great round overall for Cybe 8, who's had a little bit of a rough day here on Cassie so far, I will say.
Spray.
Big ol' spray, big moment, big mood for Cybe 8, leading the damage charts. 6-0-6 here. Koa 6-0-4, so great slash lines, exactly what you want to see
Look at this
from the
damage
DPS duo from Mousesports.
Ah, they're
And look how
pulled so far
ahead they are.
Yeah.
Holy crap, I didn't even notice that.
They're so far ahead. Streaks flying high. Sharing the low for both of them. I mean, you got 1-0-15 for Cloud as well. Early touching onto the objective. But who from Ninjas in Pyjamas is going to make themselves vulnerable first? You see Bonkar taking a bit of damage and actually just locked down on the side. There's the reanimate. Find some shelter in the side corridor.
Uh-oh, here comes Bees from behind. Bonkar pops the Immortal to try and keep himself alive. Big stun comes through from the seismic crash. Bees falls for the second time this fight, and he won't be coming back this time.
Can't soak up everything, my friend. Heat Haze popped by Koa. Manages to get the kill onto Bordeaux. Looking for more. Uberspady hiding on the side. Finds that the Pip is lurking. And actually decides to billow out.
And let's look at Cybe 8 again. Playing a different angle this time around. He's on the right instead of the left. Big change here for young Julio, but he's still finding damage either way. Ninjas in Pyjamas, 89%. Here's a big Dread Serpent, but it gets shucked off very early by NTBs, and he throws up the power siphon to prevent follow-up.
Yeah, you throw out the ultimate, you lose a player. Mousesports still gaining that momentum. Another one goes down. Cybe 8 eliminated, but nonetheless, the rest of the team holding it nicely. And that was a team wipe for a moment's time.
So much done well by Mousesports. They're starting really back at the Dread Serpent for Bird as they're gonna capture the last 10% here. You know, shrugs off the Dread Serpent. Bees throws up the Power Siphon. Buck dives in, but Cephid Cloud grabs him, Void Grips in midair. Then Doodle comes in with an Evil Mojo to stop that entire fight. Cephid Cloud follows up on one chicken, while NTBs and Doodle follow up on the other. Mousesports are playing like a team. Communication, it just looks like it's flawless right now.
Totally different game for them right now. 3-0, moving effectively. 2 minutes to spare, and they're still gaining this momentum. Andrew Doodle 14 streaked him and facing off against Anar, throwing on the heel for himself. Chunked down a bit low, has to find some protection, but the rest of the team is venturing on forward.
Great job getting in and out here. The scout comes from Cassie, so everyone visible to Mousesports. They can plan their approach a little bit more educated, as well as Cybate. A little bit of selfishness here. He gets his movement speed as well, but he speeds himself to a quick demise as first blood in this fight.
Yeah, Shipa's been sticking around on the Anar, as you expect, with a double kill to his name, too. Koa manages to take one down, though, and he's been great for the team. So 2 for 2 trade so far. This is a good holding spot for Ninjas in Pyjamas.
1:22 left on the clock here for Mousesports to score what I believe is their first 4-0 ever. I can't remember if they had one against Virtus Pro. That was a very close set, so I'm tending to lead towards the side of no, they haven't, but they certainly haven't scored a 4-0 against Ninjas in Pyjamas, a team with some of the most veteran names in the business. Another Evil Mojo comes through, but Doodle is in fact the first to fall.
Perdeaux finds it. Cybate, though, he's still in the action. He's still getting the shots. Finds some shields in front of him. Well, there's 50 seconds to go. Without Koa, though, that's some of your damage potential. But they take out Uber Spady.
Bees buying a lot of time, distracting the Sonara down into what could be a precarious position here. Going to get some healing through, but so will Bees. This fight far from over. Cybate, he's got his Astral Mark applied. Cephid Cloud on a 25 streak, trying to keep pressure on where he can. Mousesports look like they're ready to go for the throat.
He ran a lot of damage into Shipa, and then in pursuit, you see that Uber Spady is actually trying to find a target, Billow, because he's in a little bit of a pickle, but gets himself out of it. But Mousesports still, they're right there on the payload. They're ready to push. There's a Dread Serpent from Ninjas in Pyjamas. Manages to create a little bit of distance, but no one's fallen yet.
I don't know if you hit it reactionary, but the scout pop there. Cassie CC immune doesn't get affected by the Dread Serpent, allowed to continue to fire away at Spady. These in-hands are going to be big. Can he connect on a Cybate? No, he'll live at least for a little while. Perdeaux quickly follows up.
Taking one down before going down. Perdeaux with a double kill. And now actually in this overtime seem to be holding it somewhat effectively. And there you go, Ninjas in Pyjamas right there at the end.
There you go. 3 big frags there down the stretch for the young Finn. 34% back on his Buck Wild. Mousesports let Ninjas in Pyjamas onto the board. Will that be a mistake they pay for at a later date? Comeback mechanics still enabled for the Beige and Black here, so they're going to be fighting at 50% increased capture rate into this next round. Shipa, the front line for Ninjas in Pyjamas, gets involved. Hand over fist in that fight, finds a couple of nice. Look at that, the freaking flick from Inara. He does it all.
And he was holding that spot for a long time, too. Anybody that came up from Mousesports was
5th on the damage charts, too. He's freaking out here. He's leading the charge for NIP in terms of the front lines. He's leading the charge for all the front lines in this game. Uber Spady struggling a little bit. 2-9, almost bottom of the damage charts.
Koa and Cybate are still pulling ahead nicely there. Perdeaux's brought himself a bit more towards the top. He's at 3rd right now, and he was struggling after the 1st. But now here we go once again. Gonna get stunned out for a moment's time. Bonker and Uber Spady picking up kills, but Andrew Doodle, he is here. He is ready. Kill on Bonker.
Huge stun there. Connects Bird. Throws that mid-air while Terminus is flying onto the objective. He eats it, and NTBs just has to go home. Has to hold that L. Doesn't reanimate. And I think Mousesports just recognized that NIP with that little victory there, the comeback mechanic on their side. That could be just about it. They don't want to give it up, though. Andrew Doodle comes flying in at the last possible second with an Evil Mojo.
There's the spite to shut him down. So, yeah, you get one, but you lose your own life for it. Overtime sets on in. And Ninjas in Pyjamas with a couple key kills, but reanimate activated by NTBs.
Oh, very aggressive there. He pushes into Cybate, makes quick work of him coming out of Billow. Perdeaux's falling back as well. He's getting peel from his frontliners. NIP, they're still, of course, in this fight because they've got 50% to give on the capture objective, but the frags are not falling their way. in any way, shape, or form right now. Stunned into the wall. Unfortunate from Perdo.
2 kills for Koa, including taking out the support. So without that heal potential, NIP on a bit more rocky ground. NTB's very aggressive with the Shatterfall, 1 swing away. And Mousesports, though, there's a Dread Serpent. Ninjas in Pyjamas sneak in!
No way! I was right there. I mean, NTB's is literally on the point. I don't know how that happened.
I don't know.
You know, when it comes down to it, so many overtime resets, they expire faster and faster and faster every single time it gets reset. So that type of stuff is more likely to happen in those scenarios when it's been reset multiple 5, 6, 7 times. But man, that's got to hurt for Mousesports, because you got to say they look like they were really in control of it down the stretch.
And I know the Dread Serpent was thrown out, but it didn't look like it was this immediate everybody's gone and now you can touch it. But I guess maybe from a different angle it looked more as such.
Yeah, I don't know. Maybe if we get a different perspective on it, we could make a better call. But from what we could see, it looked like NTB's was right there. Cybe8 finds a return frag up on the high ground. Bonker will fall as well. NIP, they're going to push this as far as they realistically can. But Mousesports are in control of the map right now.
And Mousesports, they got the first 3 points back-to-back now. NIP 2 points back-to-back. And even though Mousesports do have map control currently, NIP, they know how to hold their tongue. They know how to buy their time. And NTB is being very aggressive with his own positioning. Andrew Doodle taking a few shots to the face. Super Spady, double kill, baby.
Finally finding a way to get into this backline, a way to open up Ninjas in Pyjamas. Cybe8, your days might be numbered here. Puts a big burst damage combo. And that's something Xin has to be aware of. That's one of the weaknesses he has in that 1v1 with Cassie, is her ability to just burst him for 1,500, almost 1,600 damage out of nowhere is not something easily dealt with.
So much ground gained while so many players were down for Mousesports as well. And now moving Shippa forward. You hear the heat haze pop though. This is an attempt to keep holding. Bonker, you're fairly low, standing on top of some healing though, so that's going to keep him safe. Moving aggressively and landing some shots.
Look at the objective bar right now. Yeah. Look at that. It's basically 100%. This payload, if it moves an inch, if Mousesports let their foot off the brake for even a second, this one's going to go right through. Shaolin is here. The second he dies, it goes through. NIP tie it up.
And there you go. It's going to be a 3-3 once again.
Poof.
It's on the last point. But
Magic.
This is very different than Mousesports in the first game. Yeah, it was 3-3, but they were getting the capture and losing all the defense. This is a case where they got the first 3 points and then lost the next 3 points.
Unfortunate stuff there. Cybe8. Well, this will give us a better idea of how that went down. Cybe8 looked like he had a better angle on that fight. Down the stretch. Let's watch the overtime here. Is that must have been it. It must have been the Dread Serpent there from Bird. Bird is a sneaky snack, though. He's had a reputation for, you know, he's got that awareness of the objective as you get into those later overtime resets. If you're not careful, Bird's going to punish you in the hardest way imaginable, in a point on the scoreboard, in an objective captured, and that really turns into a 3-3 tie now for NIP. So big plays from the support from the captain of the Bayesian Black.
And this time it's actually really far, Dread Serpent. 24% for Mousesports so far. The killing spree for Shippa, the 8th streak, taking down Andrew Doodle, but one has fallen on both sides. Gonna have to regain a little bit of ground.
And I mean, Inara is the perfect champion to have in this scenario right here. She's just gonna put her body in this choke point, throw down the Warder's field as well. If anyone steps past this threshold, that's why you can see Bees is hesitant, because the wall could go up and then he could be in some serious trouble here. 2 more frags for NIP. Bees is gonna crush out 1 kill, might come back to life here. And he will.
There you go. Pops back up and back into action. There's actually the wall, though, to block off any point of access through time and space by Mousesports in an attempt to shut it down a little bit. But no one could make it through that barrier, so Ninjas in Pyjamas end up swiping away the win.
Really just supreme objective control, knowing exactly when to pop those resources. The wall, the Dread Serpent, Bird, Shippa doing great things to win the war with as little blood spilled as possible.
Yeah, that was a great Dread Serpent, because you saw NTB's was there, but he was on the edge of it, and it was just enough push to push him away. But hey, what kind of push desk do you think it'll take for Mousesports to come back?
I mean, this is a tough one because, you know, that's vintage in IP. Bird finds that moment where no one's really aware of the objective, and that's when, you know, Maldama Dread Serpent is its most impactful, when you that fear, run away from the point, not to it like a convergence. If he's Saris there, that doesn't happen, and so he really gives that open. I think it's Uberspady who steps on the point in the billow and then maybe dies shortly thereafter. But what an incredible moment from them to steal that game back away from Mouse.
I mean, you look at the beginning of that, Koa, Saibate are having insane games. They're playing remarkably
They are playing
well.
lights out, yeah.
It goes up 3-0. It looks like it's going to be a 4-0 Mousesports. You lose a defense, you just, whatever. We just lost a defense. Then you see it come back. That's when NIP, I feel like, backs against the wall, it made them a little bit more threatening. They recognize we might lose this, we might go down. We really want to be able to kind of make sure that we take this to the next step. And honestly, with the way they played it, the way they handled the end of that round, it was really phenomenal.
I think Koa on Shaolin was really, he was something else.
Oh, yeah.
And honestly, he was one of the points I wrote down. Koa's Shaolin. He's played it every single set on this DPS. Every single time we see Mousesports today, play DPS with Koa. It's been Shaolin. So I want to know, does he have anything else?
He has a Genos.
He does have a Genos, but DPS-wise, because I think that's an interesting thing. Is Shaolin that free? Is it like the Leon, where you're not really going to ban out a Shaolin? Not really going to ban out Leon. I got a first, second, or third picker. So if a team wants him that bad, they're going to get him. And I think it's a worthwhile pickup for Mousesports because they were in the driver's seat yet again until that big play. That last point fight as well. I think that point fight goes Mousesports' way to start, but they just hesitate. They hesitate because they lose a few members early. Andrew Doodle gets the Evil Mojo. They do a quick kill, and then the Dread Serpent forces everyone back. But then they just can't seem to break through that wall chokehold.
And that's kind of how it felt, I want to say, from that Dread Serpent on as well. It was just, can we take this fight? Can we actually accomplish this? And it just felt like, again, NIP, they took the driver's seat, they grabbed the wheel, they hold onto it, and just the way they were able to continue moving forward with it. I mean, again, Mousesports, it almost felt timid, and I feel like once you get a Dread Serpent like that,
right,
then you get the aggression you can have out of a Fernando, something that Bonker was able to take advantage of perfectly.
I think what's interesting about Bonker and Sheepa, those two, and Bonker today as well. Bonker is an incredible DPS player, and that's what's so exciting. Great flex player, I would say. But for me, one of his most miraculous things is he brings this kind of that mechanical aim, and Sheepa too, that you would expect of a damage player to the front lines. It makes them a lot more potent. They're getting 5, 10, 15 great games, 20 to 30,000 more damage than most people would on that same champion. And that's a big thing. In that fight, Sheepa actually, I think, cleans up Andrew Doodle. He's about to make it through that wall on Jaguar Falls in that last 3-3 fight. Sheepa's last pellet actually flicks, like Nick was saying, that flick and aura and cleans that up. And that's just something you get from a special player, a veteran who's been training with this champion the day that she came out.
And being able to showcase it on some of the champions that I think it's much more noticeable or much more important, I guess, to have that aim on.
Yeah.
And Nara, her shots, they can deal a lot of damage. If you're hitting
Yeah.
all three of them, it's pretty consistent overall. And then, of course, Fernando, the fireball, if you're able to flick fireball, trace people, and make sure that's finding its home, 500 to 600 damage every single shot.
Yeah.
Usually 3-second cooldown with a lot of players running Incinerate. So you are, as a front line, like you said, dealing DPS that is comparable to some of the Shaolins, the Cassies.
And on a map like that where you get to Jaguar Falls, you can't run away from it. You can't space yourself out from it like a Stone Keep or a Splitstone Quarry, where we all seem to be heading here for potentially the last game. NIP have turned what seems to be Mousesports is set to win, or to lose, back in their favor. They've gone for the double front lines. It has worked extremely well. Bonker and Sheep have been excellent. Bird has made some outstanding plays. Uberspady starting to get his rhythm. Mouse back to the Cassie first pick. You can expect to maybe see the Shaolin here, and maybe something like a Genos, because that's just what they've been going for, and it's been working. The Pip taken now, though, by NIP, and that's the first time we've really seen the Inara Pip, I think, in this set taken by one team.
And I'm actually kind of upset right now.
You
with
crying?
the way that
What's going on?
Mouse has approached it. Cassie, Shaolin, Genos has been solid for them, but I feel like they are really pigeonholing where Andrew Doodle is going. Like, I just feel like they are taking away the Bomb King, they're taking away the Eevee. They're saying, hey, some of the champions that you are best with, you're not allowed to play right now.
I do hear that.
It's just against the wall. Let the Bomb King through. Is it really highly valued enough on NMP that they're going to take it?
I do hear that conversation. I mean, at that point, you just replace that ban with Torvald, which is why I think that people ban Torvald. Because you just replace Torvald in there. It's like, all right, that's cool, ban. No one's going to play Torvald. No one's playing Torvald here. Torvald's not a part of this equation. But people will just place him instead of that Bomb King ban or instead of that Eevee ban because it's safe. And I think that also, if they did that route, might open up some flexibility for Andrew Doodle. Now we got to see how good is his Leon. And you know what? You can have a great Leon, but you have a lot of hit scan direct damage here. You have no blaster presence. And at this point, NIP have a pretty balanced lineup, albeit range may be a factor. Splitstone Quarry, bigger map. Let's send it over to the casters here for game number 4 if NIP can close it out, or we'll see Mousesports tie it back up and send it to a game 5.
I mean, we don't get to go to Splitstone Quarry too often, so it's exciting when we do.
And just a small tweak in the draft here from Mousesports. Same 2 bans as they've gone with basically this entire set. And whether or not it's to attack Uberspady on his picks, he seems like he's been okay. That Zin performance wasn't star-studded by any means, but there's plenty of teammates there to pick up the slack. NIP still win that game, and loser's pick here puts us on Splitstone Quarry. On accord of Mousesports' selection here. There's their last chance to dance. They've got to get the win here if they're going to keep this set going.
Mousesports have found so many situations where they start off strong, they get the first point, and, you know, they have that good momentum, but then they lose it. Last game, they were up 3-0, and then Ninjas in Pyjamas just rocked it on back.
We'll have to see here, Perdo. We'll be playing Zin for NIP this time. First time we've gotten to see him on it today. Uberspady back on his pit bonker, and Sheep on the front line. Bird back to support. A lot of role swaps here, a lot of identity crises for a lot of different teams in a lot of different ways. And for NIP, it's been a couple of different changes, but, you know, their roster obviously seeing a big change here today. Big connection off the bat for Perdo, swinging through with the Yomi, playing incredible angles there, finds 2 more.
Lots of clashing on the side. NTB's on this tournament, though. Koa getting the kill onto Uberspady. And I'm really curious as to what led to this decision for Koa to be on the Shaolin so much. I'm liking it. He's doing great.
Yeah, I think, you know, he's comfortable with it. He's clearly performing very well on it. So anytime Mousesports can get him there, they will. And it's interesting that Doodle is the one that will go to the hit scan. I would have thought that Cybe would have been the flex guy that moves over to the Leon, and Doodle could have filled in on either Shaolin or Cassie, but it is, I think, a priority here to keep Koa on Shaolin. This is the first time we're seeing him play DPS. What's in the champion pool? We don't really know, but what we do know is that Shaolin is working well for him so far.
And all in the meantime, Mousesports, they send NTB right onto the objective. You see the rotation coming from Shippa, so a little bit of hand-in-hand between the wifey and hubby. But nonetheless, going to swing away. A little bit of problem for NTBs after he gets collapsed upon.
Shippa hits another nice couple of pellets on NTBs during mid-Shatterfall, and the most cinematic ability in the game. Cut short, 90% for NIP, 84% for Mousesports. Enlightenment doesn't find the kill. Uberspady will find the win over Andrew Doodle.
Oh, through time and space, all the way from the high ground. Doesn't connect, but 99% for Ninjas in Pyjamas. Overtime getting reset as NTB's made his way back to the objective. But Uberspady, from this high ground positioning, throws out the Evil Mojo, and that's exactly what they needed to be able to finish off that capture.
That's a big problem. He was just firing freely from the high ground, used his ultimate. I have to say, Evil Mojos from Uberspady on Pip today have been really, really good from Ninjas in Pyjamas overall. Gotta say I'm impressed with everything that he's been able to bring to the table. He's had some rough performances, he's had some great performances, but overall, I think what he's doing is not being feel-for, right? He's not playing like a substitute player would be. He's making the plays that they need to be made, or at least attempting to, right? He's giving it his best shot. He's taking the opportunities when they are presented, and he's not just kind of being a passive, scared little puppy dog in the corner in the PPL.
Not crashing under the pressure or anything, but just get blown away by Koa at that point in time. His payloads made
Isn't
it
it fun
about
having the
50%.
ability to kill anyone you want by talking nicely about them?
Right. Yeah, I mean, found it trickle over into TV shows a little bit too. Even it's spreading, y'all. It's spreading. But Koa with the double kill. I mean, we've said nice things about his Shaolin, and he hasn't let up since.
Yeah, but he did just die there in the kill feed, so maybe we should just keep our mouths shut. Just,
Don't
It'd be
say
really hard to
anything
do our
for the
job.
rest of the-
It'd be really hard to do this job without talking.
Yeah, or just make noises. Ooh.
Ooh, ah. I don't know. Ooh, maybe. I don't know. It's going to be good. It's going to be close. He's just talking just phrases and half-truths here. Double kill. That's something that is written in blood and ink on the battlefield for Perdo. Ninjas in Pyjamas off to a great start here in this first offense.
Yeah, 4 were just taken down on Mousesports, and now Ninjas in Pyjamas with about 50 seconds to go are moving this forward. And I mean, the thing about this map is there are a lot of nice holds possible on the defense because of the high ground, all these twists and turns. But Ninjas in Pyjamas have made it a nice far way through.
Mousesports just struggling to find one right now. Crush, stunning bonker out of his shield. still swinging away NTBs. Has his reanimate available so he can play a little bit more aggressive with this Terminus, though. If you can help it, you don't really want to pop that ultimate on the defense. Koa finds big frags, and that's kind of been the story of the day. He's been fragging out on Shaolin all day long, and people just been letting him have it.
And even right now, despite not getting the kills onto him, a couple members of NIP too low to even put themselves in harm's way. Perdo, though, taking out Koa. Uber Sadie following up on that action. A double kill for Perdo. 3 members down for Mousesports. A lot more difficult for them to hold this. Another ultimate from Uber Spady to guarantee that kill, but reanimate has been used.
And I mean, NTB's deleted off the map basically instantly after that comes through, so not the most worthwhile trade. Evil Mojo's already back to 30%. I think NIP are very happy with the way that just went.
Another slam into Andrew Doodle, and despite the fact that Koa took down Perdo at the very last minute, Ninjas in Pyjamas are able to push that.
How many killing blows did Koa get in that round? I mean, he's almost at cauterized 3, 8 and 4.
Wow.
That boy swinging for the fences here. Damage dealt about even, but he's driving the kills home. That's the nature of Shaolin, though. Very bursty character, just innately in his kit. A lot of combo potential across the board. And playing aggressive angles, Koa, despite this being his DPS debut in the PPL, has not been shy from getting into the back line, but playing that Desert Shadow style, most Shaolins will sort of go that route.
Second game in a row where Cybate and Koa are floating right there at the top of the damage, but not as big of a disparity
not doubling,
this time.
doubling the rest of the pack here, and Doodle not far behind them. That's the way you want it to go for Mousesports, but top 3 on the damage charts. Who really cares? And Ninjas in Pyjamas, they're up 2-0. They're fine if this game just continues the way it has been going.
There's another ultimate. Dread Serpent. Bonker looks for another target. He himself is found to be pretty low, though. And Uber Spady, this is the exact angle before where he was able to throw down the Evil Mojo, follow-up shots, and took out NTBs that way. But nobody's really looking in his direction.
1 for 1 on the objective here. And I want to take a look at NTB's loadout. Is he running Forsaken here, the crowd control reduction card? Because he's been slaughtered by this Evil Mojo. And I don't know if it's just a factor of they're bursting him down super quickly, or he just doesn't have the CC reduction online. We'll check that next time he comes back up. But Perdo so far, 2 kills for him in the back line.
And 72% for Ninjas in Pyjamas. They're still continuing on forward, and Mousesports, on the other hand, they're waiting for their moment to shine. A wall from Sheepa to actually go ahead and make everybody back up, and Ninjas in Pyjamas get point number 3.
They keep rocking and rolling here, and if things keep up, Ninjas in Pyjamas is going to find themselves with another W in the column here as they're up 3-0 in a must-win game for themselves.
Andrew Doodle double kill.
Attaboy, kid.
Yeah, he's on the Leon. We've been used to seeing him on
Mostly
blasters.
blaster guy for, or at the very least projectile. Shaolin, not much of a blaster, but does have that very fast projectile. Cassian and Shaolin toe the line because their projectiles are so fast that it's not too much of a stretch for you know, a Cassie player or a Shaolin player to go play a hit scan champion. If anything, it's harder to go from hit scan to those two, I would say.
Yeah, it's kind of the other way around. Oh, this is a bit difficult, but NTB's rocking it a little low right here. But they've
he actually lived.
Yeah,
I thought he was trolling.
Yeah, I thought he was going down, but no. Koa came around the corner, took out Shippa, and NTB's was able to keep his life. And this payload, last time around, it was pretty much right out the gate because it was the ultimate and everything that set off that capture. This time, still pretty much in its starting position.
Perdo and these Yomi swings looking good across the map. Bonkar diving a little bit deep, maybe expecting to receive some reinforcements there. Perdo just won't stop, though. His campaign has been funded and executed by he himself.
It's a double, baby, and Uber Spady to go and follow up on that as well. So Ninjas in Pyjamas, this is their time to go ahead, start it with that momentum a bit later than last time. I mean, they're under the 1 minute mark, but it's still possible if they can kind of go with the same continuity they did before.
44 left on the clock now. Mousesports, 5 ultimates to pull the emergency break on Ninjas in Pyjamas, but 5 ultimates will be fighting against them. And so far, NIP have been getting great ultimate trades here. You know, the Evil Mojo for the reanimate, it's not ideal. The spike comes through, everything's hitting the board all at once.
Oh, the Immortal through time and space. Andrew Doodle just firing from the backline. Bonker chunked on down low. You hear the Enlightenment on the side, but nothing was caught with it just yet. Reanimate to bring NTBs back into the fight. 12 seconds remaining, but 3 have fallen for Mousesports. Ninjas in Pyjamas getting everybody back into the equation, and Shippa right on top of NTBs, but he's the one to find the kill.
Not going down without a fight. Eats a fireball to the face, and that's plenty to push him down. Who's contesting? Up over the top here, overtime. The payload rolling forward. Is that going to be it? Chopping down. Cybait's trying to stop this campaign, but Ninjas in Pyjamas are so close.
3 for 1 right now. Ninjas in Pyjamas right on top of the
Evil Mojo.
objective. Yeah, go throw it out. Get that onto NTBs. No reanimate available to him because he used it recently. And right there, one last shot to the high ground, and Ninjas in Pyjamas clinch the victory for this game and the set.
A really valiant effort from Mousesports and NIP. A great set, probably my favorite to watch. Very entertaining from front to back. But you have to say the turning point felt like in Jaguar Falls when Bird hit that big Dread Serpent to steal away that objective. Things never look the same for Mousesports.
I mean, you gotta give it to Mousesports for their performance. You can see the fire carrying over from their victory last week, their desire to go for another win, but nonetheless, ending this week, maybe not in the way they wanted to, but great set at that. That's going to finish things here for the casters. Let's go ahead and send it over to the desk closings for the day.
I mean, if you're Mousesports, I think you got to hang your head high. That honestly was a great performance through and through. And NIP as well, you got to say, we really fought back. This was a tough week for us. A lot of different ways. Obviously, having Lazy no longer in the roster right now, and then obviously having Uber Spady come in to be a part of this with a lot of unknowns, a lot of questions, and still getting that win, a hard-fought win that felt like it was kind of not in their choice to grab, and they do it.
I want to say that was a lot more akin to some of the hard-fought sets we got to see last week, being able to come in, not necessarily going all 5 games, but just being able to kind of showcase exactly what this team has to offer. And honestly, when it came down to it, Uber's Payday was probably the one that stood out to me the most. It was kind of between him, I want to say, and Perdo. But for someone coming into the PPL, the first week that you have to perform, oh, by the way, you're replacing Lazy?
Yeah.
He performed really solidly for the team.
Honestly, he had a lot to carry here. And it's not like Lazy and NIP have been successful in the PPL this week. Last couple of weeks, they've had some troubles. They've had some issues, and you can expect, although we don't know anything about why Lazy is not with NIP this week, that if they were winning, he would have been on the team. They've been losing. They haven't been beating their competition. They expect to win. And Uber Spady comes in, has a hell of a week, goes basically even throughout it all. But when you look at the assists as well, definitely contributing positively to the squad. Makes a big plays, flexes very nicely too. And that's the thing. He was on the Zen. He was on the Pip. I think we felt Mousesports didn't really give Andrew Doodle the ability to get on something comfortable, and Uber Spady was banned out literally all set by everybody, and he still found a way to make things happen, and so I think that's why he's MVP this week.
And I think that's the thing that was most impressive about it, is you come into something like this and you're like, man, it's just going to be a guy, like 2-3 champions, maybe, not something that's going to get banned out a lot. Bomb King, Eevee forced to be taken away from him. Then you give him Pip, give him Zen, give him something he's comfortable with, and he's still going to be able to perform with it. That is really, I think, one of the key things that separates some of the top players from some of the bottom, the PPL league, from being able to come down, I guess just PPL in the second league there, against the PGS team, just being able to kind of showcase what that difference is.
I'll think about that, Gore. The Paladins Premier League?
The league.
That sounds pretty good. Yeah, League Squared. PPL Squared. Guys, obviously we are starting to round things out. I mean, the standings and the basically results of today should be clear if you've watched all of it, but if you haven't, here you go. 6-0 for Fnatic. Not as Finseer. They grab theirs. Navi and Fnatic, they're locked for land, guys. These are going to be your 2 representing out of Europe. NIP, they will not make it, and a good time to try things out. Virtus Pro, Mousesports, they will not make it. VP, still looking, however, at this part with weeks still coming in the PPL to try and find their first win, to try and find cohesion between these guys. 4 new members on the side of VP. And, of course, Mousesports looking really good, hoping to ride that momentum despite the loss today and continue to get better. Let's take a look at North America for tomorrow because we do have more PPL action this weekend. It's going to be SK versus G2. That's a nice matchup right there. You do not want to miss that one. And then Envy versus Splice. Those teams, Envy has to have a win there. Splice looking to find another win in the PPL. Envy and Renegades. That's going to be a good game, too. Those 2 teams have been relatively competitive throughout the PPL. And I think this is going to be a kind of a marquee matchup for me. And then SK versus Renegades. Renegades should take that one if SK keep underperforming, but who knows? Maybe they've got a whole new vibe this week.
That's kind of, I think, the theme so far from what I've seen. Mouse, VP, both being able to kind of step up, give you a whole new vibe. Tomorrow, I'm expecting a little bit from Splice, Renegades, SK. a lot of the teams I think are on the rise, and it's one of those things you can see, especially here for Navi and Fnatic. Those early wins paying a lot of their weight in gold, just being able to get you that 6-0, 6-1, because a lot of these other teams are on the rise.
Well, I hope to see more of that competitive action heading into tomorrow. That's the PPL for today. We're going to cut it for a wrap on EU. Great week, guys. We'll see you next week for that. But tomorrow, stay tuned, 3 p.m. Eastern Time. We've got North America PPL coming right at you. I'm Rain Day. That's Gormizer. Pretty Hair Latagris over there. Production over for Hi-Rez Studios. As always, friends, remember to never give up, never stop gaming, and we'll see you all in the realm.